This is a continuation of the story of Naples Nissan kills Lori Bobay. Well, Joe Roberson called me in his office and told me he wouldn't work on my car until I took down some negative comments about the dealership from online. Specifically, I took down cars.com. However, they didn't get my car fixed. Joe Roberson let me go home in a broken car. So when I got home and I still had the same fault on the car, I was less than happy. So I doubled down on all of the comments online about Naples Nissan and how disreputable and dishonest and distrustful their dealership is. Because when I called Joe Roberson, I texted him and said, "Why did you let me out of that place without ops checking the car first?" Well, that was a little too much for Joe Roberson. You don't say that to a man. You don't say, "Why didn't you check my car before you let it out of your dealership, Joe Roberson? You're supposed to be the service manager." So he told me I was fired. Fired from Naples Nissan. "You cannot come back. I'm not going to fix your car," is what he told me. And he called, or my daughter called, to find out what the deal actually was. And he said, "Yes, your mother is fired. She cannot come back to Naples Nissan. She'll have to go somewhere else and get her car fixed." So I took my car up to Sutherland Nissan in Fort Myers, which was an hour away from my home. Well, they must be buddies, because when I got my car fixed, I opened the door and there was a giant slash in the passenger seat, which their manager, I can't remember his name, conveniently for him, at Sutherland Nissan in Fort Myers, Florida. Luckily for him, he can't get his name on here, but he told me I had no way of proving that they did it. And then he gave me a number of a guy that he uses to fix car seats. And he said, "You can get my deal on it. They'll give you my deal." So I left. But Naples Nissan, Sutherland Nissan, Nissan in general is garbage. They don't care about the customer. Once you buy that car, you're done. They don't care if their car doesn't work. They're not fixing it for you. They're tired of you. If you complain about them, you are public enemy number one. So that's where I was with them. Well, they kept putting stuff online. And then I put something that was Baker actionable. Well, in Florida, there's this Baker Act, whereas if you put something in the public or say something suicidal related, which I was not suicidal. There's no way I would ever commit suicide because I believe in the higher power that would hold me accountable. So they decided at Naples Nissan, I had sent it to them on their website. They have a place where you can send emails to them. And I sent it to them, and it said something about I can't stand this world and I'd die every day if I could because how bad the world is. And so they took that memo, copied it, and passed it around to more than 5 people in the office. Morgan Mehmet was the lead person. Morgan Mehmet. Piece of crap. She works at Naples Nissan. She and her husband Wayne Mehmet, I think his name, or Wade Mehmet. They must run the place because she was giving me a hard time. I kept calling her and telling her stuff, telling her how disreputable and dishonest and terrible their company was. But she didn't care. She just wanted me to shut up. So Fast forward, a knock comes on my door, and it's two police officers, and they want to know, have I been putting stuff online about Naples Nissan? I thought, what? I'm in trouble from putting stuff online, telling the truth about these companies and this dealership and how disreputable and dishonest and disgusting they are? So I said, no. I said, I have been putting stuff online. I said, but it is all within my freedom of speech. I can say whatever I want to online. Well, they said, well, you can't say that you want to kill yourself. I said, I never said I wanted to kill myself. I said, and then they showed it to me. He said, did you? Right? And I made the mistake of letting Marco Island Police Department Hans Schmid in my house. Never, ever let a police officer in your house. When they come and they want to know something, you say, no, I haven't. Goodbye. Close the door. They don't have a right to come in and do anything to you. But I was foolish, and I let them in, and I confided in them, him and another Officer Moreno, some girl. And I told them that I was having troubles because my husband and I were getting a divorce, and things were not good. Well, he decided, and I wrote down in a statement, vehemently, I would never kill myself. I would never commit suicide. I'm fine. Well, he just said, stand up, turn around. And he put cuffs on me and put me in a car and took me with excruciating pain because I had had surgery. I was ready to have surgery on this hand, which I've had surgery since then. He cuffed me so hard, and I kept saying, can't you please take these handcuffs off of me? And he said, no, it's for our protection. I said, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm a little old lady. I'm not going to hurt you. He says, well, it's for my protection and your protection. So he drove me an hour away to David Lawrence Center, which I could not stay there because my daughter works there. So they transported me to Park Royal Mental Hospital in Fort Myers, Florida, and I was incarcerated there for 7 days against my will with no rights. They changed my medicine. They diagnosed me as being bipolar, which I am not. They screwed my life up. So I started, once I got out of that place, I started to investigate what Hans Schmid and those people at Naples Nissan did. Well, it turns out Hans Schmid knows those people at Naples Nissan because I called and talked to Morgan Mehmet. I called and I talked to her and I said, when you called the police, I said, why did you have a memo with my email circulating in the office for 5 days before you decided to call 911 because you were so worried about me? And she said, well, I called Hans. I said, you called who? She said, well, I called 911. I said, you did not call 911 because I called the sheriff's department to find out who sent you people out to my house. Who called 911? Well, there was no call on September 5th. Morgan Mehmet called directly to Hans Schmid at the Marco Island Police Department. And the two of them decided, or the five of them, how many other people were on there. Wade Mehmet, Morgan Mehmet, Aaron Walker, Blake Walker, Joe somebody. He's not with the company anymore. Probably he left shortly after I started all of this. But I started the investigation, and they had colluded to get me Baker Acted. It didn't matter what I said that day. They were going to Baker Act me. And I have proof. I have documented proof.